So we are reading Many Lives, Many Masters by Dr. Brian Weiss. And we are on chapter 11, page number 94 of the PDF.
Chapter 11. Several nights later, I was jolted awake from a deep sleep. Instantly alert, I had a vision of Catherine's face, several times larger than life size. She looked upset, as if she needed my help. I looked over at the clock. It was 3:36 a.m. There had been no outside noises to awaken me. Carol was sleeping peacefully beside me. I dismissed the incident and fell back to sleep.
So again, whenever, we feel connected with someone and there is an energetic field which is connecting us, then we can get messages from that person. This has been studied a lot in the Institute of Heart Math, where they have found that the mother and child connection is very powerful, right? The heart rhythm of the child and the heartbeat of the child and the respiratory rate of the mother, they tend to synchronize. Okay. They've also done another experiment which was done. It's given in a book called The Conscious Universe, where they took a DNA of a person and in a petri dish, right? If the person was stressed, the same the stress symbols would come in the petri dish. Then they put him in another room and still the same thing happened. They put him in another building, same thing happened. Put him on the other side of the town, same thing happened. They put him on the other side of the world, the same thing happened. So we actually start getting connected. And since he has been doing her sessions, there hasn't been an energetic connect with Dr. Brian Weiss with Catherine. So she can actually maybe sense and communicate to him.
At about 3:30 that same morning, Catherine had awakened in a panic from a nightmare. She was sweating and her heart was racing. She decided to meditate, to relax, visualizing my hypnotizing her in the office. She pictured my face, heard my voice, and gradually fell back to sleep.
So very clear, right? She was connecting with Dr. Brian. And because of that, Dr. Brian felt the energetic shift in his own dream.
Catherine was becoming increasingly psychic, and apparently so was I. I could hear my old psychiatry professors talking about transference and countertransference reactions in therapeutic relationships. Transference is the patient's projection of feelings, thoughts, and wishes onto the therapist, who represents someone from the patient's past. Countertransference is the reverse, the therapist's unconscious emotional reactions to the patient. But this 3:30 a.m. communication was neither. This was a telepathic bond along a wavelength outside the normal channels. Somehow, the hypnosis was opening up this channel. Or was it the audience, a diverse group of spirits, masters and guardians and others, that was responsible for the new wavelength? I was beyond the point of surprise.
So again, transference and counter-transference, this normally happens during a live session, a one-on-one session, right? From the therapist's point of view. But this is, of course, opening up a channel. As I mentioned to you, when an intimate connection is there between two people, you can have a frequency of vibration transferring information between the two of you. This can also happen with lovers, right? They will be able to know when the lover needs them. People who are deeply connected to each other, people who are in love with each other, definitely this kind of thing tends to happen.
In the next session, Catherine quickly reached a deep hypnotic level. She was instantly alarmed. I see a big cloud. It scared me. It was there. She was breathing rapidly. Is it still there? I don't know. It came and went quickly. Something up high on a mountain. She remained alarmed, continuing to breathe heavily. I was afraid she was seeing a bomb. Could she look into the future? Can you see the mountain? Is it like a bomb? I don't know. Why did it scare you? It was very sudden. It was just there. It was very smoky. Very smoky. It's big. It's off at a distance. Oh, you're safe. Can you get closer to it? I don't want to get closer, she answered sharply. It was rare for her to be so resistant. Why are you so afraid of it? I asked again. I think it's some chemicals or something. It's hard to breathe when you're around it. She was breathing laboriously. Is it like a gas? Is it coming from the mountain itself, like a volcano? I think so. It's like a big mushroom. That's what it looks like, a white one. But not a bomb? It's not an atomic bomb or anything like that? She paused and then continued. It's a wall, some type of volcano or something, I think. It's very scary. It's hard to breathe. There's dust in the air. I don't want to be there. Slowly, her breathing returned to the usual deep and even respirations of the hypnotic state. She had left this frightening scene. Is it easier to breathe now? Yes. Good. What are you seeing now? Nothing. I see a necklace on somebody's neck. It's blue, it's silver, and has a blue stone hanging off it, and then littler stones underneath that. Is there anything on the blue stone? No, it's see through. You can see through it. The lady has black hair and a blue hat on with a big feather, and the dress is velvet. Do you know the lady? No. Are you there or are you the lady? I don't know. But you see her. Yes, I'm not the lady. How old is she? In her 40s, but she looks older than what she is. Is she doing anything? No, she's just standing next to the table. There's a perfume bottle on the table. It's a white with green flowers on it. There's a brush and a comb with silver handles. I was impressed with her eye for detail.
So again, in these trances, many times you can jump from one scene to another scene. Okay, it can just transient like that. So she was in a volcano scene, and suddenly she's with a lady.
Is it her room or is it in a store? It's her room. There's a bed in it with four posts on it. It's a brown bed. There's a picture on the table. A picture? Yes, there are no pictures in the room. There are funny, dark curtains. Is anybody else around? No. What relationship does this lady have to you? I serve her. Once again, she was a servant.
Okay, so now again, when we are going into these deep states, we are not looking at things from the small guy. We're looking at it from the big guy. So all we can get a lot of detail when we are in these states of consciousness. So she is really giving a lot of detail about what's happening in that particular room and that particular scene.
Have you been with her long? No, a few months. Do you like that necklace? Yes, she is very elegant. Have you ever worn the necklace? No. Her short answers required my active steering in order to obtain basic information. She reminded me of my pre-teenage son. How old are you now? Maybe 13, 14, about the same age. Why have you left your family? I inquired. I haven't left them, she corrected me. I just work there. I see. Do you go home to your family after that? Yes. Her answers left little room for exploration. Do they live nearby? Close enough. We are very poor. It is necessary for us to work to serve. Do you know the lady's name? Belinda. Does she treat you well? Yes. Good. Do you work hard? It's not very tiring. Interviewing teenagers was never easy, even in past lifetimes. It was fortunate that I was well practiced. Good. Are you still seeing her now? No. Where are you now? In another room. There's a table with a black covering on it and fringe around the bottom. It smells of many herbs, heavy perfume. Does this all belong to your mistress? Does she use a lot of perfume? No, this is another room. I'm in another room. Whose room is this? It belongs to some dark lady. Dark? How? Can you see her? She has many coverings on her head, Catherine whispered. Many shawls. She's old and wrinkled. What is your relationship to her? I've just gone to see her. For what? So she may do the cards. Intuitively, I knew that she had gone to a fortune teller, one who probably read tarot cards. This was an ionic twist. Here, Catherine and I were involved in an incredible psychic adventure, spanning lifetimes and dimensions beyond even that. And yet, perhaps 200 years earlier, she had visited a psychic to find out about her future. I knew that Catherine had never visited a psychic in her present life, and she had no knowledge whatsoever about tarot cards or fortune telling. These things frightened her. Does she read fortunes? I asked. She sees things. Do you have a question for her? What do you want to see? What do you want to know? About some man that I might marry. What does she say when she does the cards? The card with some kind of poles on it, poles and flowers, but poles, spears, or some kind of line. There's another card with a chalice on it, a cup. I see a card with a man or boy carrying a shield. She says, I will marry, but I will not marry this man. I see nothing else. Do you see the lady? I see some coins. Are you still with her, or is this a different place? I am with her. What do the coins look like? They're gold. The edges are not smooth, they are squared. There's a crown on one side. See if there is a year imprinted on the coins, something that you can read in lettering. Some foreign numbers, she replied, X's and I's. Do you know what year that is? 17 something. I don't know when. She was silent again. Why is this fortune teller important to you? I don't know. Does her fortune come true? But she's gone, Catherine whispered. It's gone. I don't know. Do you see anything now? No. No, I was surprised. Where was she? Do you know your name in this lifetime? I asked, hoping to pick up the thread of this life several hundred years ago. I'm gone from there. She had left the lifetime and was resting. She could do this now on her own. It was not necessary for her to experience her death to do so. We waited for several minutes. This lifetime had not been spectacular. She had remembered only some descriptive highlights and the interesting visit to the fortune teller. Do you see anything now? I asked again. No, she whispered. Are you resting? Yes. Jewels of different colors. Jewels. Yes, they're really lights, but they look like jewels. What else? I asked. I just. She paused, and then her whisper was loud and firm. There are many words and thoughts that are flying around. It's about coexistence and harmony, the balance of things. I knew the masters were nearby.
So again, as soon as profound stuff comes in, that means the masters are around.
Yes, I urged her on. I want to know about these things. Can you tell me? Right now, they're just words, she answered. Coexistence and harmony, I reminded her. When she answered, it was the voice of the poet master. I was thrilled to hear from him again. Yes, he answered, everything must be balanced. Nature is balanced. The beasts live in harmony. Humans have not learned to do that. They continue to destroy themselves. There is no harmony, no plan to what they do. It's so different in nature. Nature is balanced. Nature is energy and life and restoration, and humans just destroy. They destroy nature, they destroy other humans. They will eventually destroy themselves.
So again, everything needs to be in balance. Everything needs to be in equanimity. Everything needs to be centered for real harmony to come into anything that we are doing.
This was an ominous prediction, with the world constantly in chaos and turmoil. I hoped this would not be soon. When will this happen? I asked. It will happen sooner than they think. Nature will survive, plants will survive, but we will not. Can we do anything to prevent that destruction? No. Everything must be balanced. Will this destruction happen in our lifetime? Can we avert it? It will not happen in our lifetime. We will be on another plane, another dimension. When it happens, but we will see it. Is there no way of teaching humankind? I kept looking for a way out, for some mitigating possibility. It will be done on another level. We will learn from that. I looked on the bright side. Well, then our souls progress in different places. Yes, we will no longer be here as we know it. We will see it. Yes, I conceded. I have a need to teach these people, but I don't know how to reach them. Is there a way, or do they have to learn this for themselves? You cannot reach anyone. In order to stop the destruction, you must reach everyone, and you cannot. It cannot be stopped. They will learn. When they progress, they will learn. There will be peace, but not here. Not here in this dimension. Eventually, there will be peace. Yes, on another level.
So again, many times, you have predictions. Now, when a fortune teller or something like this, a prediction comes in, it influences the outcome automatically simply because we have free will. So if we get some information, which is a trajectory, right? It's a line that may happen. everything in life is a probability. Now, as soon as we get information, it changes how a situation occurs to us and we can make adjustments. So if this trajectory was going to be followed, some information comes in about a impending disaster, we can change our track and go on to another track. That is why many predictions which are made do not manifest, because the basic idea of making a prediction changes the outcome also. So in spite of the prediction that everything will be destroyed, we are still hanging around here. I think this book must have been published about 10, 15 years back, but we are still around.
Eventually, there will be peace. Yes, on another level. It seemed so far away, though I complained. People seem so petty now, greedy, power hungry, ambitious. They forget about love and understanding and knowledge. There is much to learn. Yes. Can I write anything to help these people? Is there some way? You know the way. We do not have to tell you. It will all be to no avail, for we will all reach the level and they will see. We are all the same. One is no greater than the next. And all this is just lessons and punishments.
So again, the Earth life system, again in the Monroe philosophy, is a compressed learning school. We come here to experience the experience for the experiences so that we can grow and transform ourselves because of the lessons that we learn over here. Yeah, so it's all about learning the lesson and experiencing things when we are in this Earth life system.
Yes, I agreed. This lesson was a profound one, and I needed time to digest it. Catherine had become silent. We waited, she resting, and I pensively absorbed in the dramatic pronouncements of the past hour. Finally, she broke the spell. The jewels are gone, she whispered. The jewels are gone. The lights, they're gone. The voices too? The words? Yes, I see nothing. As she paused, her head began to move from side to side. A spirit is looking
So
at you.
many times when a spirit is coming in, you can start to sway, or your head will go in a jerk, or it can move like this. So a jerky thing can happen. So again, she's head started to move from side to side.
At you? Yes. Do you recognize the spirit? I'm not sure. I think it might be Edward. Edward had died during the previous year. Edward was truly ubiquitous. He seemed to be always around her.
So again, when a spirit passes on, they can be attracted to a particular person who's living embodied, right? And then hover around that person.
What did the spirit look like? Just a, just white, like lights. He had no face, not like we know it, but I know it's he. Was
So
he
again over here, right? Many times we get a feeling, and especially in these altered states, you will get a connect with who's who. So it can be pretty harrowing in the normal waking state of consciousness if you start getting to know who was who in which previous life and this and that. But in any case, in the hypnotic state, she can actually assess, because all of us have a unique ID and we can make the connection with that ID. It's very much like a cell phone, that when you dial a number, it goes to that specific cell phone. Like that, all of us have a stamp, all of us have a indent. Robert Monroe called it an indent, right? That's why when he asks who's that, she can normally tell if she knows the indent of the person.
Was he communicating at all with you? No, he was just watching. Was he listening to what I was saying? Yes, she whispered, but he's gone now. He just wanted to be sure I'm all right. I thought about the popular mythology of the guardian angel. Certainly, Edward, in the role of the hovering, loving spirit watching over her to make sure she was all right, approached such an angelic role. And Catherine had already talked about guardian spirits. I wondered how many of our childhood myths were actually rooted in a dimly remembered past.
So without some truth, no rumor can also start, right? So there has to be something which is there. All these fairy tales, etc., have to have something in them for them to start, right? So that's what she's saying, that the childhood myths may be rooted in the truth.
I also wondered about the hierarchy of spirits, about who became a guardian and who a master, and about those who were neither, just learning. There must be gradations based upon wisdom and knowledge, with the ultimate goal, that of becoming godlike and approaching, perhaps merging somehow with God. This was the goal that mystic theologians had described in ecstatic terms over the centuries. They had had glimpses of such a divine union. Short of such personal experiences, vehicles such as Catherine, were, with her extraordinary talent, provided the best view.
So again, when you look at it from the shamanic principle, there is the upper world and the lower world, and within that there are many worlds. There are 7 upper worlds and there are 7 lower worlds. Now, depending on your status and depending on your caliber, you will you will be available in the higher and higher worlds. There are subtler and subtler environments. So as it's the same with the Monroe principle. If you are highly evolved, then you can go above focus 27. Generally, people are remaining within focus 27. So you can go into higher states of consciousness. Okay, so again, a master and a student and whatever.
Edward had gone, and Catherine had become silent. Her face was peaceful, and she was enveloped in serenity. What a marvelous talent she possessed, the ability to see beyond life and beyond death, to talk with the gods and to share their wisdom. We were eating from the tree of knowledge, no longer forbidden. I wondered how many apples were left.
So again, she's naturally going into an altered state and connecting with energies or entities or souls who are operating at a higher frequency of vibration.
Carol's mother, Minette, was dying from the cancer that had spread from her breast to her bones and liver. The process had been going on for 4 years and now could no longer be slowed down by chemotherapy. She was a brave woman who stoically endured the pain and weakness. But the disease was accelerating, and I knew that her death was approaching. The sessions with Catherine were going on simultaneously, and I shared the experience and revelations with Minette. I was mildly surprised that she, a practical businesswoman, readily accepted this knowledge and wanted to learn more. I gave her books to read, and she did so avidly. She arranged for and took a course with Carol and me in Kabbalah, the Jewish mystical writings that are centuries old. Reincarnation and the in between planes are basic tenets of Kabbalistic literature. Yet most modern day Jews are unaware of this. Minette's spirit strengthened as her body deteriorated. Her fear of death diminished. She began to anticipate being reunited with her beloved husband Ben. She believed in the immortality of her soul, and this helped her endure the pain. She was holding on to life, awaiting the birth of another grandchild, her daughter Donna's first baby. She had met Catherine in the hospital during one of her treatments and their eyes and words joined peacefully and eagerly. Catherine's sincerity and honesty helped convince Minette that the existence of an afterlife was indeed true.
So again, the afterlife, right, in between planes, it's there in most religious cultures because the seers of those cultures have actually gone and visited those planes. Okay, now in Christianity, it was of course removed because the church wanted to say that, okay, this is the only life that you have and you have to do everything here. You have to repent your sins. Otherwise, the church would lose its power, right? Apart from that, all other cultures talk about the between planes, most of the cultures.
A week before she died, Minette was admitted to the hospital's oncology floor. Carol and I were able to spend time with her, talking about life and death and what awaited us all after death. A lady of great dignity, she decided to die in the hospital where the nurses could care for her. Donna, her husband, and their 6 week old daughter came to spend time with her and say goodbye. We were almost continuously with her. About 6 in the evening of the night Minette died, Carol and I, having just arrived home from the hospital, both experienced a strong urge to go back.
So again, this is an urge because they're connected to that person. They can actually feel that urge.
The next 6 or 7 hours were filled with serenity and a transcendental spiritual energy. Although her breathing was labored, Minette had no more pain. We talked about her transition to the in between state, the bright light, and the spiritual presence. She reviewed her life, or mostly silently, and struggled to accept the negative parts. She seemed to know that she couldn't let go until this process was completed. She was waiting for a very specific time to die in the early morning. She grew impatient for this time to come. Minette was the first person I had guided to and through death in this manner. She was strengthened, and our grief was assuaged by the entire experience. I found that my ability to heal my patients had significantly expanded, not just with phobias and anxieties, but especially in death and dying or grief counseling.
So again, when once you've experienced these altered states, it becomes easy to counsel and guide people because you know what's going to happen, right? So when you know and you talk from a state of knowing, especially people who've attended the Lifeline program, this kind of guidance would technically become very easy for you.
I intuitively knew what was wrong and what directions to take in therapy. I was able to convey feelings of peacefulness, calm, and hope. After Minette's death, many others who were either dying or who were the survivors of a loved one's death came for help. Many were not ready to know about Catherine or the literature about life after death. But even without imparting such specific knowledge, I felt that I could still deliver the message.
So again, once you know, right, even in your presence, just being present will start causing shifts in people's lives. So people who've had near-death experiences, who've experienced these altered states of consciousness, will definitely influence people around them.
A tone of voice, an empathic understanding of the process and of their fears and feelings, a look, a touch, a word, all could get through at some level and touch a chord of hope, of forgotten spirituality, of shared humanity, or even more. And for those ready for more, to suggest readings and to share my experiences with Catherine and others was like opening a window to a fresh breeze. The ones who were ready were revived. They gained insights even more rapidly.
So again, people who are open, the word will find them, right? And the more you read, the more you understand these processes, the more insight you will get, and the more in equanimity you will be, right? Because like today, the most feared fear that we have is the fear of death. Now, if we can transcend that fear, then there is nothing like it.
I believe strongly that therapists must have open minds, just as more scientific work is necessary to document death and dying experiences, such as Catherine's, so is more experiential work necessary in the field. Therapists need to consider the possibility of life after death and integrate it into their counseling.
So again,
People,
most of the counselors do not like to touch these subjects. I mean, till recently, right? Maybe another 10 or 15 years. Before that, they never used to touch this subject because it was really taboo.
they do not have to use hypnotic regressions, but they should keep their minds open, share their knowledge with their patients, and not discount their patients' experiences.
So again, discounting the patient's experience is very common, where if the therapist has no idea about what is happening, then they will naturally discount that experience. That's why it's very important for any kind of therapist to expose himself or herself to various processes and various modalities so that they know what is happening when it happens.
People are now devastated by threats to their mortality. The plague of AIDS, nuclear holocaust, terrorism, disease, and many other catastrophes hang over our heads and torture us daily. Many teenagers believe that they won't live past their 20s. This is incredible, reflecting the tremendous stresses in our society. On the individual level, Minette's reaction to Catherine's messages is encouraging. Her spirit had strengthened, and she had felt hope in the face of great physical pain and bodily deterioration. But the messages are for all of us, not just the dying. There is hope for us too. We need more clinicians and scientists to report on other Catherines, to confirm and expand her messages. The answers are there. We are immortal. We will always be together.
So we are actually immortal, and we travel together, right? Soul groups, etc. Go down again, Shivangla, otherwise it's not coming.
Chapter 12. 3.5 months had passed since our first hypnosis session. Not only had Catherine's symptoms virtually disappeared, but she had progressed beyond merely being cured. She was radiant with a peaceful energy around her. People were drawn to her. When she ate breakfast in the hospital cafeteria, both men and women would rush to join her. "You look so beautiful. I just wanted to tell you that," they would say. Like a fisher, she would reel them in on an invisible psychic line, and she had been eating unnoticed in the same cafeteria for years.
So again, as you become more coherent, people will automatically start getting drawn to you. They will come and tell you their problems. They want to share their issues with you. They will come and tell you stories, right, that they would not open up to with anyone else. So everything starts to open up when you are in that state, right? So she is in that state. She's connected. She's been downloading information. So naturally, people are drawn towards.
As usual, she sank quickly into a deep hypnotic trance in my dimly lit office, her blonde hair spilling over in rivulets on a familiar beige pillow. I see a building. It's made out of stone, and there's something pointed on the top of it. It's a very mountainous area. It's very damp outside. I see a wagon. I see a wagon going by the front. The wagon has hay in it, some kind of straw or hay or something for the animals to eat. There are some men there. They're carrying some type of banners, something flying on the end of a stick. Very bright colors. I hear them talking about wars, and a war that's been fought. There's some type of metal, something metal covering their heads, some type of head covering made of metal. The year is 1483. Something about Danes. Are we fighting the Danes? Some war is being fought. Are you there? I questioned. I don't see that, she answered softly. I see the wagons. They have two wheels on them, two wheels and an open back. They are open, the sides are open with slats, some type of wooden slats held together. I see something metal they wear around their necks, very heavy metal in the shape of a cross, but the ends are curved, the ends are round on the cross. It's the feast of some saint. I see swords. They have some type of knife or sword, very heavy, very blunt end. They are preparing for some battle. See if you can find yourself, I instructed. Look around. Perhaps you're a soldier. You're seeing them from somewhere. I'm not a soldier. She was definite about this. Look around. I have brought some of the provisions. It's a village, some village. She was silent. What do you see now? I see a banner, some type of banner. It's red and white, white with a red cross. Is it the banner of your people? I asked. It's the banner of the king's soldiers, she responded. Is this your king? Yes. Do you know the king's name? I don't hear that. He's not there. Can you look and see what you're wearing? Look down and see what you're wearing. Some type of leather tunic over a very rough shirt. A leather tunic. It's short. Some type of animal skin shoes. Not shoes, more like boots or moccasins. No one's talking to me. I understand. What color is your hair? It's light, but I'm old and there's some gray to it. How do you feel about this war? It has become my way of life. I've lost a child in a previous skirmish. A son? Yes. She was sad. Who's left for you? Who's left in your family? My wife and my daughter. What was your son's name? I don't see his name. I remember him. I see my wife. Catherine had been both male and female many times. Childless in her present life, she had parented numerous children in her other lifetimes. What does your wife look like? She is very tired, very tired. She is old. We have some goats. Does your daughter still live with you? No, she is married and left some time ago. Are you alone then? You and your wife? Yes. How is your life? We are tired. We are very poor. It has not been easy. No, you lost your son. Do you miss him? Yes, she answered simply, but the grief was palpable. Have you been a farmer? I changed the subject. Yes, there's wheat. Wheat? Something like wheat. Have there been many wars in your land through your life with much tragedy? Yes, but you have lived to be old. But they fight away from the village, not in the village, she explained. They must travel to where they do battle over many mountains. Do you know the name of the land that you live in or the town? I don't see it, but it must have a name. I don't see it. Is this a very religious time for you? You see crosses on the soldiers? For others, yes, not for me. Is anybody alive yet from the rest of your family other than your wife and your daughter? No. Your parents have died? Yes. Brothers and sisters? I have a sister. She is alive. I don't know her. She added, referring to her life as Catherine. Okay, see if you recognize anyone else in the village or your family. If people did reincarnate in groups, she was likely to find someone there who was also significant in her current lifetime. I see a stone table. I see bowls. Is this your house? Yes. Something made out of fur. Something yellow. Something from corn or something yellow. We eat this. All right, I added, try to quicken the pace. This has been a very hard life for you. A very hard life. What are you thinking of? Horses, she whispered. Do you own horses? Or does somebody else? No, soldiers. Some of them. Mostly they walk, but they're not horses. They're donkeys or something littler than horses. They are mostly wild. Go ahead in time now, I instructed. You're very old. Try to go to the last day in your lifetime as an old man. But I am not very old, she objected. She was not particularly suggestible in these past lives. What was happening was happening. I could not suggest away the actual memories. I could not get her to change the details of what had happened and been remembered. Is there more to happen in this lifetime? I asked, changing my approach. It is important for us to know. Nothing of significance, she answered without emotion. Then go ahead. Go ahead in time. Let's find out what you needed to learn. Do you know? No, I'm still there. Yes, I know. Are you seeing something? A minute or two passed before she answered. I'm just floating, she whispered softly. Have you left him now? Yes, I'm floating. She had entered the spiritual state again. Do you know what you needed to learn? It was another hard lifetime for you. I don't know. I'm just floating. Okay, rest, rest. More minutes passed silently. Then she seemed to be listening to something. Abruptly, she spoke. Her voice was loud and deep. This was not Catherine. There are 7 planes in all, 7 planes, each one consisting of many levels, one of them being the plane of recollection. On that plane, you are allowed to collect your thoughts. You are allowed to see your life that has just passed. Those of the higher levels are allowed to see history. They can go back and teach us by learning about history. But we of the lower levels are only allowed to see our own life that has just passed. We have debts that must be paid. If we have not paid out these debts, then we must take them into another life in order that they may be worked through. You progress by paying your debts. Some souls progress faster than others. When you're in physical form and you are you're working through a life. If something interrupts your ability to pay that debt, you must return to the plane of recollection, and there you must wait until the soul you owe the debt to has come to see you. And when you both can be returned to physical form at the same time, then you are allowed to return. But you determine when you are going back. You determine what must be done to pay that debt. You will not remember your other lives, only the one you have just come from.
So again, this is something that happens in the Monroe philosophy in Focus 27, where you actually decide what are you going to experience. And also naturally, when she's talking about death, it's always that we need to experience both sides of the coin. If I have experienced slapping someone, then I need to experience getting slapped. Right. Now over here, he's saying that you come and you till the person who you owe a debt to comes to you, right? Generally, we are moving around in soul groups. So there is something called a planning center also in Focus 27, where you actually make an arzi over there. You put an application there that, okay, this is what I want to experience. And then they attempt to create the formula which will allow you to experience the experience. A little bit of this was shown in that movie Bhootnath 2, where they actually show him making a arzi that I want to experience this, I want to go here, I want to go there, and all that. But it's exactly like that. You have to make an application, you plan, you coordinate with so many people so that the life that you want to experience, the lessons that you want to learn, you come here to be able to learn those lessons.
Only those souls on the higher level, the sages, are allowed to call upon history and past events to help us, to teach us what we must do.
So again, when you are operating at higher frequency levels, then more information is definitely available to us.
There are 7 planes, 7 through which we must pass before we are returned. One of them is the plane of transition. There you wait. In that plane, it is determined what you will take back with you into the next life. We will all have a dominant trait. This might be greed or it might be lust, but whatever is determined, you need to fulfill your debts to those people. Then you must overcome this in that lifetime.
So again, whatever we are coming here to experience is basically to master it, to transcend it so that it doesn't create a flutter in our field anymore. So it's very clear. Then you must overcome this in this lifestyle. So whatever the lesson you need to learn, you need to transcend it.
You must learn to overcome greed. If you do not, when you return, you will have to carry that trait, as well as another one, into your next life. The burdens will become greater with each life that you go through and you did not fulfill these debts. The next one will be harder. If you fulfill them, you will be given an easy life. So you choose what life you will have. In the next phase, you are responsible for the life you have. You choose it. Catherine fell silent. This was apparently not from a master. He identified himself as we of the lower levels, in comparison with those souls on the higher level, the sages. But the knowledge transmitted was both clear and practical. I wondered about the 5 other planes and their qualities. Was the stage of renewal one of those planes? And what about the learning stage and the stage of decisions? All of the wisdom revealed through these messages from souls in various dimensions of the spiritual state was consistent. The style of delivery differed, the phraseology and grammar differed, the sophistication of verse and vocabulary differed, but the content remained coherent. I was acquiring a systematic body of spiritual knowledge. This knowledge spoke of love and hope, faith and charity. It examined virtues and vices, debts owed to others and to oneself. It included past lifetimes and spiritual planes between lives. And it talked of the soul's progress through harmony and balance, love and wisdom, progress towards a mystical and ecstatic connection with God.
So again, most of the spiritual wordings, etc., will always talk about love, hope, faith, charity, gentleness, compassion, etc. And the game is to create harmony and balance and bring love and joy into our lives so that we can merge with the Godhead at the ultimate end.
There was much practical advice along the way, the value of patience and of waiting, the wisdom in the balance of nature, the eradication of fears, especially the fear of death, the need for learning about trust and forgiveness, the importance of learning not to judge others or to halt anyone's life, the accumulation and use of intuitive powers, and perhaps most of all, the unshakable knowledge that we are immortal. We are beyond life and death, beyond space and beyond time. We are the gods and they are us.
So again, we are the I mean the in the figure of gods, right? And very everything has been summed up in this verse or this paragraph, right? So again, patience, wisdom, balance, eradication of fears, and especially the fear of death, learning to trust and to forgive, the importance of learning not to judge others and to halt anyone else's life, right? Accumulation of knowledge and intuitive abilities, and perhaps most of all, that we are actually important. Death is not the end, it is a beginning. I think we can stop here today.